Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at Earthrise Megatron. Going to compare him against the Siege version. Aesthetically speaking, in robot mode, we're going to also compare him against the Masterpiece version. But then more accurately, we'll compare him against the Siege version for, his alt mode, articulation, things like that. Just wanted to throw Masterpiece in there just because obviously that's more of the look they were going for. But let's get him out of the box and take a closer look at him. Alright, and here he is out of packaging, and I gotta say right off the bat, I'm a little disappointed because one of my biggest gripes with Siege Megatron was the lack of forward lean, like and pretty much backward lean in the feet. But there's tilt, but there's no pivot. So it was really hard to get him to stand up. So the very first thing I looked at when I got this guy out of the package was his feet, and same thing. It can go back a little bit, but not forward. So I was really hoping they would have addressed that in this one. Also, mine has some under the eyes there, like his mascara's running. And it does seem pretty much like a straight up repaint, redeco of Siege. It's kind of disappointing. I knew that going into it. I knew he was going to be a tank. I knew he still had the backpack bits back here. I'm not overly shocked, but it still didn't really try that hard. I still bought it, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's see. As far as face sculpts go, there's Siege, which I never really liked, especially the lips, and like the face just didn't really. I mean, it's Megatron, but and this one, I still not really seeing it. They're different. I mean, they're definitely different. But, I mean, the red eyes, the black around the red eyes, like it's close, but it just doesn't, something just seems off. Siege has this, the battle damage that they've been doing, which, it's okay. I'm not a huge fan. The Earthrise does away with that, but not down here. At least Siege got a little bit of paint, a little bit of silver paint back here. This guy gets a whole lot of nothing. Still wearing that goofy backpack. From the side, this one was all solid gray. He's got a little bit of painted black right there. Same thing on the other side, a little bit of, not painted black, it's just the plastic's molded differently. The hands look about the same. The big difference for me anyway is the chest. So Siege just has, and then we got Earthrise, and then later I'll bring out Masterpiece so you can see that this one is definitely closer to Masterpiece. I'm kind of disappointed with the head sculpts. The Siege one was probably one of, if not the, least favorite for me personally. Doesn't look like Earthrise is going to fare much better, although I do like him a lot more than Hoist. I think Hoist just bothers me. And maybe Trailbreaker won't. I guess I'll find out when I get to him. But I didn't have very high hopes for Megatron as soon as I saw him in the box, and I knew he looked the same and was still going to be a tank and everything, so I don't know. I guess I just thought I'd get that usual giddy sensation that you get when you open a new figure and you still haven't figured out all of its quirks and stuff, and it's still, new to you. This is just the same old thing as the old one. So, and because it doesn't do a classic G1 transformation, it's not going to be a gun, which I totally understand why not, but it's still, not as much fun. So let me move the box here. All right, so let's do some articulation while we're thinking about it. And we got the arms that go out that far. Now it is hitting right up here, so it is limited. Only 90 degree. The elbow, which is disappointing. You have a bicep swivel. No wrist rotation because the wrist has to fold in as part of the transformation. So that's it. And it doesn't go flat all the way out. That's as flat as it goes. You can't actually get this to line up. His head, turn. It'll look up a little bit. It'll look down a little bit. Now his head starts to sink into that little trapdoor, just like on Siege. But I don't think look up as much. Yeah, he can look up a bit higher, I think. His leg goes forward that far. 90 degree bend at the knee. backward. That's it. That's all you're going to get because of the horrendous backpack. This will go back underneath of it, but that's it. So not, he can do the splits as you'd expect. And like I mentioned before, there is a rocker, but there's no pivot. I think I'm using that term correctly. So, I mean, his articulation isn't great, and the likeness isn't, for me anyway, not that great. And you can't, at least on Siege, and I'll test it out here in a second, you couldn't really get him to just stand up because he would tip over. You kind of always had to have him like leaning forward a little bit. So not super plussed about him. He's okay, and I had to get him because I have an Optimus, so I have to have a Megatron. But yeah, I mean, he's not he's not great. He's fine. He's fine for what he is, and he seems nice and sturdy, and I'm sure there's a lot of fun to be had with him. One of the main things I'm into is figure photography, and this guy is just kind of a dud on that front. Not much he can do. At least with this guy, he had that look, and you could kind of try and imagine certain scenarios for him. He's got just sort of a meh look. I try to be more positive in these, but it's really, I'm trying to struggle to find good things to say about him. So let me get him transformed, and maybe tank mode will redeem him. All right, so here we are in alt mode, and I'm trying really hard to stay positive about this one. It looks okay as a tank. The treads and stuff on the side are a nice touch. It rolls okay. You can actually move the cannon part, which is great. You can't aim up or down, which doesn't seem right. I do like that they give you a little piece back here to cover up the gap between the legs there. If you look quick, it looks like it could just be a toy tank, and it's fine. It's okay. I feel like they tried a little harder on the Siege version. There's more paint. Like, these things are actually, his legs are painted black, and these parts are brown, whereas this is just straight up black with the damage or whatever. On the cannon itself, there's some red paint there, which this one's lacking. I do appreciate the fact that there's like a scope here, and that it can be held just as a gun, which we'll get into when we look at the accessories and everything. But yeah, I mean, I like that they actually took the steps to make this part fold over, so when you're looking at it just from head on, you don't see anything. You look at it from here, ooh, peekaboo. So I don't know. I mean, yes, this looks more like an Earth-based tank, and this looks more like something crazy from the future from Cybertron. But I mean, if you're gonna make his alt mode different, I don't know. It's okay. It's fine. Not really a big fan of either one. I do like that on the Earthrise version, you're still doing the same thing. You're still shoving this. You're still taking his weapon and shoving it underneath to form the front, just like you do on this one. However, on the Siege version, it's sticking out here like some sort of prehensile tail. Kind of weird. Not that the whole thing isn't weird. The fact that he's just kind of standing there cosplaying as a tank, that really shows it off. You can see, they put lots of extra, silver paint here. There's the yellow paint on the front flap that folds over his face. You get none of that here. I mean, it's, like I said, I feel like with the Siege version, they tried harder. They put more effort into it. The transformation was almost exactly the same, except there's this extra part that you take off of the fancy weapon and you put back here to cover up the back, which is great. But again, you can still see his face. And this one had this nice flap that folds over. And yeah, I'm gonna stop, ragging on it, because it is what it is. Let's put him back into robot mode and go over some of the accessories. All right, so they're both back in robot mode, and I gotta say, I'm not a great sign when the act of transformation, which is arguably one of the most important aspects of a transformer, is not fun, and that all I can think in my head is I can't wait to get done with this one so I can sell one or maybe both of these guys and never have to deal with them again. So not great. Not great. After going through the transformation, I almost want to say that I like Siege better. I'm not gonna keep him. I guess I'm going to keep Earthrise just so I can have a Megatron to, match with the Optimus, but I don't like him. It's like everything about him, they normally, at least what I would assume would happen, is that sort of like with cars, one will come out and people like it just fine, but say, oh, I wish it had this or I wish it had that, and then like the next year, the next refresh, those things will get added. It's like they went backwards with this. They, instead of just improving on some of the things that Siege didn't do right, like the feet, or maybe add some posability, or the backpack, or whatever, they just kind of repainted it and gave it a different mold a little bit, and gave him worse stuff. Like, there's less paint, and the secondary weapon, at least with this, he looks like he's using the Super Star Destroyer Executor as a weapon. That's pretty badass. It's a big friggin' sword that's part gun that he could hold. Now, I don't really get how this would work because the barrel's plugged up by the sword, but whatever. Either way, he can use it. This thing, I don't even know what this thing is, and it's hard as hell to get him to hold it. And like the box shows him, I've tried to recreate that as best I can. What even is that? I'm gonna jump and spear ya. Like, I don't understand. This I get. It's a sword. You can swing and hack away and have a good old fight. This thing, it's awful. And I tried a bunch of different ways to do it, and I can't, like, if he could hold it as a spear, or if he could do something with it. But he can't do anything with it. It's just not great. Just stupid. That's one accessory, and this is the part that covers up the back of the tank, and this is what slides under to become the cannon. And the only way you can put this in is this way, which keeps this from moving, but if you move it too much, this ends up coming out, and oh god, they can't stand up to this doesn't fit here. None of this fits here. I mean, I guess, maybe I'm just an idiot, which is almost always the case. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this isn't fun. Or if it is, then my definition of fun has been incorrect all these years. All right, we get this in here, this here. Oh my god. All right. Plug this in here, maybe? Okay, I guess. Okay. So, I guess I kind of get it, sort of, maybe, but again, I'm gonna stick ya. Come here, I'm gonna poke ya. I don't get it. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. And I like Megatron a lot. Like, he's one of my favorite villains out of anything. I hate this version of him. He's just not good at all. So we already looked at their cannon / extra weapons. The only other thing left is to look at the actual cannon, which is part of him. This one's fine. I thought it looked great, much like a lot of the other stuff with Earthrise, until I saw this, and even especially this part right here, which we'll see on Masterpiece. Like, this is great. This looks terrific. So I do like that part of him, and the sculpt here, and then like the abdomen or whatever, and this part on the chest. While the chest is kind of similar, this part they got right, and this part they got right, but I feel like that's it. They didn't get anything else right. The face doesn't really look right. The alternate weapon is a joke. He can't really pose, at least not dynamically. He just kind of stands there. Yeah, I'm just overall just really not impressed. Not that they care if I'm impressed. I just I expected more based on how good Prime was, and even Cliffjumper, and I mean Wheeljack, meh, and Hoist is meh. But I thought, this is like your signature guy. It's like you shouldn't have a bad Optimus Prime. You shouldn't have a bad Megatron, and I don't think he's very good at all. So, all right, let me bring Masterpiece out here so we can see what Megatron should look like. Oh boy. So, all right, Siege. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm just so disappointed with this. I gotta be really careful because my Masterpiece Megatron is loosey-goosey. So I don't want anything to happen to her. Him, Jesus, sorry, sir. He's very nonplussed right now. And I don't blame him because this is crap. So let's check out... We zoom in here a little bit and we take a look at his chest, or his abdomen. They did do a decent job with Earthrise. The yellow at the bottom, the vents on the side, the two blue dots. So they did get that right. The three little markings at the bottom of the chest on each side, got it on Masterpiece. The Decepticon logo in the middle of the chest, that's correct. They did do some of this stuff pretty okay. For the most part, the notches at the top, the kind of the shape of the helmet, but again, the face. Hang on a sec. Okay, sorry, just got a new mic, and don't think I put it in the right place because I kept knocking it down. All right, as fascinating as I'm sure all 2 people that watch this video will find that. So the face for me is you gotta have that. If you don't have this, you can't really have the rest of Megatron, Really? It's awful. Anyway, so hello. Scoot you over a bit. Oh, no. Don't. Oh, there you go. All right. Now, throw his dumb noggin in here. So, I mean, sort of, but no, not really. Like I said, the chest, the abdomen part is okay. You're just gonna... Okay. The part that I was talking about on the pistol, or the arm cannon, right there, and right there. It's a nice... they did that part right. The red bands at the elbows, they got correct. The shape of the cannon, the cannon itself, because it's supposed to be a scope, it looks correct. The rest of it, though, is just, not great. So, really disappointed in this one. Was hoping it would have been an improvement over the Siege version, and sadly it's not. But, it can't all be winners, right? It wouldn't make the good ones as meaningful, I suppose. So let's, I'm going to bring out some more guys here, do a size comparison, check some things out in robot mode, and then we'll try it again in vehicle mode. And maybe my attitude towards it will have changed by then, but I'm not going to hold my breath. All right, so here we have the other Earthrise and one Siege character thrown in. Again, Astro Train was part of both waves, but Jetfire is just Siege, at least for now. I don't know if they're going to re-release him. So as you can see, old Megs here is kind of a thick boy.
Damn, boy, he's thick! Boy, that's a thick-ass boy!
Yeah, he's definitely a lot girthier than Prime. And even Astro Train looks kind of tiny by comparison. I mean, damn. He's almost as wide as Astro Train with the wings extended. So that's kind of crazy. So, again, I guess he scales fine. I'm not a fan at all, really, of this mold, this version of him. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's fine. It's definitely not something that I'll be incorporating into any of my photography, probably ever. So should I need a Megatron, it'll either be Masterpiece or I have that RED version. So I'll be reviewing those later when I finally unbox them. I don't know where they are, but they're here somewhere. So that's him in robot mode. And again, just for scale comparison, put the camera over a bit. Okay, and there he is. So he's a larger. My God, I mean he's that much taller than Prime. Sort of, but yeah, I mean he's big. He should be intimidating, but he's just kind of a putz. So, all right, let me. Sorry, I'm not being very enthusiastic. It's just I really just want to slog through this and move on to something that's hopefully more fun. So I'm gonna transform him back into tank mode and put all these other guys into their alt modes, and well, except for Jetfire, I don't feel like dealing with that, especially for this review, because man, I'm just starting to not care. So I can only imagine that there's no one left watching this, because if I don't care, why the heck would anybody want to watch me not care about something? So let me get these guys transformed up so I can keep some consistency here to these videos, and we'll check them out again. All right. So we got Megatron transformed into tank mode, and I mean, tank mode looks okay. He looks, I mean, it seems to scale kind of well, like with Cliff Jumper here. I mean, we can see him just powering right over him. And, he's, I would think, a tank, a tractor trailer and a tank would be fairly close in size, I guess. All right. And here we have Megatron in tank mode, and alongside him we have his other Earthrise wave mates. Scale seems to be pretty decent for what it is. I think Cliff Jumper and he scale pretty well together, but Prime, I'm not quite sure that that's 100%, but it's close enough. And again, given my level of disdain for this figure, not for the character, love the character, just for this figure, it's not that big a deal. I mean, great, it scales, it doesn't, whatever. Astro Train's always there to throw things completely off kilter. So just do some side by sides here, just so we can get an idea. Let's see. Throw Ironhide up here. And one of the Dotson boys. Well, that seems about right. And a mini spy. So there he is. I gotta say, tank mode is, I think, better than robot mode. I'm just not really happy about this guy at all. The fact that I can do this is just, this about sums it up. Like, oh yeah, it's Megatron, sort of, kinda. He sure stands a lot better like this, though. Sure couldn't do that when he's in robot mode. So, it seems like a good enough place to leave it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.